Hi. I've had a couple of people say to me, wow, you look really tired in those videos. And I've had some friends who work in TV offer to give some help with the lighting. And my response is, I am tired. So sorry, that's just the way that I look. This morning at our 7 o'clock meeting, the breakfast meeting didn't last very long, and so I spent 40 minutes catching up on emails and sending constituent postcards. I've always made fun of politicians who say that it took them so long to catch up on their emails. It sounds so hard. But I really am trying to respond to everyone who sends me a message in the Capitol building, and I'm getting over hundreds of them. It's true to say hundreds of them. We also are given these little blue postcards that you can send to a constituent. So if someone sends me a message through the phone system and they don't have an email address, I'm trying to send it to them. Even though they don't live in Butte, I'm trying to send it to anyone who contacts me. And it takes a long time, and it makes me look tired. House Business and Labor this morning, we heard the best bill in the whole world. Even though it's not mine, it's House Bill 259, which would apply the education and training that people receive in the military to licensure requirements in Montana. I cannot imagine anyone voting against this bill, and the only reason we didn't take executive action on it today is because everyone wants to sign it as a co-sponsor. It's a pretty exciting program. It should be called the Get Vets Back to Work bill. House Bill 250 is to provide navigators to get training on selling insurance. It's like the most boring thing ever, but it's important that we do this work to keep our state running. And then House Joint Resolution 4 urges the U.S. Congress to restore the wall between commercial banking and investment banking. And if you're interested in that, you should look up the Glass-Steagall Act. I think it's a really good resolution, and I think it's something that people in Butte would really want me to vote for. It's unfortunate they didn't have more testimony, and I don't know what else to say about that. House Bill 261 was a bill to allow businesses who have been shut down due to a national natural disaster to not suffer from a bump in their unemployment insurance when they lay off workers. And at first, my hackles were all up because I thought that it was taking away benefits from people who were laid off in a national natural disaster, but it became clear through the testimony that it actually socializes the cost that happens when lots of workers have to be laid off due to a natural disaster. And so it's going to be great to see that bill get bipartisan support. No one said the word socializing cost, but that's exactly what it does. Is instead of one business seeing a huge increase in their unemployment insurance rate because they had to lay off their workers due to a natural disaster, it actually spreads that extra cost out through all employers in the whole state. So don't tell anybody we're socializing something and everyone agrees we should do it. From 11 to 12:15, I worked on my House Bill 165, and there's a member of the other party who is working on a very similar bill, and so mine's not going to get passed. It's kind of not really getting tabled, but they're not taking any action on it until her bill is passed or heard. And so it's a good opportunity for the two of us to work together for basically overlapping bills that do the same thing. And it's a bummer that my bill with my name on it isn't going to get passed, but it's a great opportunity for a bipartisan safety bill to get done. So that was House Bill 165 to ask people to slow down in an emergency scene to keep our emergency workers safe. On the House floor session, we heard House Bill 71 to invest in restorative justice programs to keep people out of the really expensive jail system. House Bill 130, which I talked about before, something that I had amended in committee and got passed today. House Bill 145 was like the craziest, weirdest bill ever, an anti-federal constitution, anti-federal mandate, anti-federal government bill. And I'm not sure if everyone just doesn't really understand how the system works or what's going on with that, but it came down to a straight, almost party line vote. And you should probably go read House Bill 145 and watch the testimony on that from the House floor today, because Representative Virginia Court did a beautiful job on testifying. So thank you for that, Virginia. House Bill 146 was something that was passed, not passed approved, but passed like we don't want to talk about this today on Tuesday. And I remember I said, like, I don't really know what that was all about. And today we talked about it, and there were concerns on kind of both sides of the aisle. And so members of both sides stood up and addressed the issues, and it passed through 96-4 to appropriations. And that's just one good example of how both sides work together, and we agree probably 85% of the time. You always hear it in the campaign literature that they voted with the other party 85% of the time. And this is why, because most of the stuff is just making sure that Montana works better, and it's so really clear that we don't need to argue about it. And then House Bill 172 allows substitute judges to have different requirements so that we have more substitute judges readily available. The 2 p.m. session in local government, I don't know if you can look up the audio on that or the video on that, but freshman representative, I try not to say names, but Schwaderer had some really bizarre behavior. And I'm a high school math teacher. I see some bizarre behavior. I don't know what that was all about. We heard House Bill 150. We took executive action, on House Bill 154, 194, and we heard some more information on House Bill 156, which is just a bad bill. There's nothing to do with it. It's a bad bill. And at 3 p.m., we actually started the hearing on House Bill 245. Champ Edmonds is bringing a great bill to allow cities to dedicate parklands, and I think everyone's in complete agreement that this is a good bill, but there's one little part in it that says, but cities have to abide by the state law that we've always had that says you can't sell parklands unless you follow this procedure. And because it says that, one side is saying, this is restricting what the city does with its own land. And I don't think it'll make it through committee, even though it's an excellent, excellent bill and really good for cities, and had no opponents, only proponents. And it's so interesting time and time again to hear a few small, tiny group of people who have been elected say, even though we heard from all of these constituents, we still just don't think they know what they're talking about. But I guess that's part of government, so I hope you guys are paying attention, sending emails, and thinking about who you're going to vote for. We heard House Bill 208, which was just the most fun bill to hear today. I really enjoyed that. It's from Representative O'Neill, and he was concerned about people not being able to dumpster dive at their local landfill because the landfills are worried about being sued, and so he would like to provide immunity to landfills against being sued when someone is injured dumpster diving. And House Bill 231 just looked like this benign bill to revise workers' comp to revise undersheriff and sheriff compensation laws. And I was very pleased to see representatives from the Teamsters and from AFSCME and from the Sheriff's Association stand up and say, this is not a benign bill. This takes away our collective bargaining rights, and it's bull. It just makes me proud to see people stand up for what's right, and I would like to remind everyone to always beware when someone stands up and says, don't worry, we're only doing what's right for you, and you don't understand this, and we're not taking away any of your rights. Just trust us. We're doing the right thing. Why would we do anything that's not in your best interest? They're doing something that's not in your best interest. When I left this evening in the rotunda, they had food prepared by women who are in the culinary arts program of the Passages program in Billings. Participants in the culinary arts program at the Passages Women's Center in Billings prepare and serve food. They're a pre-apprenticeship training program at the Passages Women's Center in Billings, and they teach women offenders real-world food service industry skills. It was great to see those women there, and I wish that my aunt could have had a program like like that to help her with reentry instead of incarceration. I just decided to check my mailbox, and I had a great card in my mailbox from some folks here in Helena. I had gone, I told you, to the Lewis and Clark Brewery, I think, to see the Lewis and Clark Democrats with their Forward Fest, and I got a great just word of encouragement saying, like, we're big fans of yours and stay optimistic. And this is the kind of personal stuff that keeps you going when you're a representative for the state of Montana, and not everyone can see eye to eye on the issues, but it's so great to hear and see the appreciation from folks who can agree that we should all take care of each other in humanity. So thanks very much for listening. Thanks for the support, the cards and the flowers and the phone calls and the texts and the email messages. And I hope you're paying attention.